have a coach in the house with us today that you are going to love hearing from. Welcome to the UPside Podcast, where we help you get unstuck in life and business by elevating your thinking and provoking meaningful change from the inside out. Coach Lawrence Mann, welcome to the UPside Podcast.
Welcome, and thank you for inviting us.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited.
Upside, man. I love that word, that upside, because that's just life itself, right?
It is.
The upside.
That is.
It's a privilege and a pleasure to be on your podcast.
This is going to be so fun. And this is actually the second time that we've been in studio together, because a few weeks ago, we brought in some of the girls from your Top Achievers program and shot a podcast episode with my girls who are 14 and then 3 other teenage girls, and they were incredible.
I tell you what, from that podcast, the girls saw themselves as, okay, this is cool. I've never experienced this before. And I think, it just falls in line on what Top Achievers is about. We call it the AED, assessment, exposure, and direction. So the assessment piece was when they came to the podcast, they said, wow, we never did it before. But what we found out when you give kids exposure, they have a direction, because now they want their own podcast, right?
They're raising little stars.
Oh, my
so
goodness.
good. It's amazing, because I've always been a big believer in teenagers. Tommy and I were youth pastors for years.
It's great.
And so I love teenagers. I love having teenagers. We're at the beginning part of raising teenagers. And I know it's not an easy season as a parent. But I do believe in the goodness and the potential of teenagers. They're just amazing human beings, and they should be developed and celebrated and all of the things. But I didn't really introduce you yet. We've just gotten into the conversation. So Coach Mann is the founder of Top Achievers Foundation. You've been in business since 1996, celebrating your 30th anniversary as a nonprofit, which is unbelievable. So, and we were connected because my girls are a part of Top Achievers. They play basketball for the Sparks.
That's correct.
For the last Go Sparks. For the last, I think, 2 years almost.
Yes.
We've been a part of your organization, and just has been an incredible blessing to our family, to Jillian and Jed. And so I love a coach's perspective, because I think sports is such an analogy of life. There is so many lessons to learn from playing sports, from watching sports, and learn from coaches, because I think great coaches are more than great sports.
That's right.
Sports people, right? They're great. Yeah. They're geniuses and human beings,
right?
Potential. But I want to hear your story. So tell me a little bit, where did you grow up? Where did you come from? How did you get involved in basketball to begin with?
Right. Well, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
The Motown City. And, growing up we had a great time. There was times early on in my life that it was really, really rough. We lived in some rough neighborhoods, and then Dad took us out those neighborhoods and to give her a better life. And we stayed in a middle-class neighborhood for my teens.
Okay.
And then we saw the flip of how it turned and how the drugs plagued the cities, man, and things were going spiraling down. So you had the drugs, you had the economy flipping up, the car industry was going down. So it became very, very rough in the 80s, the mid-80s.
Okay.
And so, yes, I played football for Cooley High and had a leg injury, so I didn't finish up my career, but my younger brother came behind me and became faster, quicker, stronger. I'm like, man, this dude,
it's fine.
Well, how can this be? I thought I was the youngest and the biggest and the baddest. I was the baddest, but he was the best athlete, and he developed a knack for speed and quickness, and grew to about 6'4", 45 pounds, running a 4.640, which is extremely fast.
Wow.
And so he got noticed by a lot of the coaches across the country. And he had over 250 colleges recruiting him.
Wow.
And so every college came to our doorstep asking my mom for permission to interview my family. My mom made it clear, you take the star, you got to take the older brother to watch over it.
You were a package deal.
I was a package deal. So if you ever watched the...
I don't know if how far apart in age were you?
Well, 4 years.
Okay.
3.5, 4 years apart.
Okay.
And so there was a documentary about SMU in the 80s, 30 for 30. It's
Okay.
called the Pony Excess.
Okay.
And we were part of the Pony Excess.
No
First-
way.
you know,
That's how you got to Dallas.
That's
with
how we got to
SMU.
Dallas, SMU.
I did not realize that. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I told Mom, I said, Mom, we slept the whole night. I didn't get any ambulance, no fire trucks, no gunshots.
Wow.
I said, I think this is a great place here. And so my brother became the SMU standout, was drafted to Miami Dolphins. And after we finished school, we're going to stay here in Dallas.
Yeah.
So
And so your parents and the rest of your family moved down here
No,
as well? They're still in Detroit?
everyone's still in Detroit. It's called Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
It's Detroit.
Okay, well, I learned something I did not
It's
know.
a French city.
Well, my maiden name is Dubois. I should know that.
Yes, yes. But yes, Detroit, I'm passionate about that city. I've learned so much. And today, when I look at how I am, how I became, it was the roots and the foundation of Detroit, Michigan. So I love my city. But it taught me so many transferable skills,
Yeah.
even when I came here to Dallas.
What do you think the number one thing you learned from Detroit?
Detroit, first of all, you had to make things happen. You don't sit back and just take from mom and dad. You had to go and provide for yourself.
Yeah.
And so Dad brought me a wheelbarrow for Christmas when I was 8 years old. Then he put a big bow over it. Right?
Oh, funny. Every kid's dream.
I learned how to work at a early age. So when I think about Detroit, I think about Dad's work ethic and teaching us how to make money and how to be an entrepreneur at an early age.
Yeah.
He taught us how to work. And then I think the second thing is keep your head on the swivel.
Mm.
You know, you just don't walk into a room and not know the proximity of who's on first, who's on second. You keep it, because if your head is not on the swivel in Detroit and you're walking downtown,
It's serious.
oh man, yeah. You're going to get jacked. So I think even today, when I go to restaurants with my wife, the first thing I look at, where are the exit doors?
You're not putting your back to the door.
No. So, that's the real world.
Yeah.
And it taught me how to survive, keep my head on the swivel, and how to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one 4-letter word you would never see on bathroom walls.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
But with the great work ethic, it's still today.
Anything's possible.
Oh, yes.
So I want to hear the story about how Top Achievers was started.
Yeah.
I know it comes from a very profound personal moment that you made a vow to God.
Yeah, I made the vow to God. So my wife, after, finishing up the college thing and starting a life, I want to say, I would say 2-3 years removed from college, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to settle down and get a wife. And I prayed for a wife. I'm telling you. I said, God, when it's time for me to get married, make sure you send that woman from heaven. So my wife and I, we got married. Ana Margarita is her name. Well, was her name. Ana Margarita Martinez. Now it's Mann.
Okay.
So she's from Honduras,
Okay.
American, and I'm from Detroit.
Right.
So I told her, I said, baby, we were destined to be together. She goes, why you say that? I said, well, you're from the jungle and I'm from the ghetto. She goes, I am not from the jungle. I said, well, I have a little fun with this.
How funny. I have not had the privilege of meeting your wife, but you had sent me over a family photo in preparation for this, and you have a beautiful family.
Yeah, it's just the love of my life.
Yeah, beautiful wife.
40.
Congratulations.
So we got married, and I knew I wanted to have kids right off the bat. And our first son, Lawrence Jr., was born with a ventricular septal heart defect, a hole in his ventricular valve of his heart. And the doctor said, well, it may close, so I'm going to watch it and monitor it. And about age 5, he woke up early that morning. I never forget it. He said, Dad, my heart is hurting. I need to go to the hospital.
Wow.
And so my wife, I called her up and I said, baby, I'm taking the baby to the doctor. She goes, for what? He said, his heart is hurting. So she called me about 30 minutes later. She goes, well, how was the doctor visit? I said, we're going to Cook Medical Hospital right now, but they have an open heart surgery. And she says, but baby, wait, we need to talk about this. I'm like, talk about what?
Oh.
And that happened. It was like a nanosecond in how it happened.
So he had been really okay from the diagnosis at birth up until this just life-changing moment.
That's correct.
He said, Daddy, my heart hurts.
Yes.
Wow.
So my wife, at that time, we were living in the mid-cities, Bedford area. and she was working at JCPenney's here in Plano. So she drove 40 minutes from Plano to Cook Hospital in Fort Worth.
Horribly long drive.
Oh, yes. And we're there, and they said, we're going to go under the knife, and there's a 50-50 chance they may make it. And we're like, what do you mean 50-50? Right? So I remembered my mom's statement before I left Detroit, Michigan. She was giving me some great advice. She says, son, you're going to go to a foreign country. Let's call it Texas. No, she said, look.
Not wrong.
She said, you guys are going to go in a way, and life is going to hit you. And when it hits you, you're going to feel like you're in a white box with no windows, no doors, and no way out. And she said, at that time, you make a vow to God, and he'll bring you through whatever you're facing. But don't make a vow to God unless you're serious. And I watched too many Raiders of the Lost Ark movies and that you don't play with God.
Yeah.
I didn't want to border light.
You've read that chapter.
Oh, man, I didn't want to get struck down for nothing. So I never made a vow until this time. And I said, God, if you save my son, I'm going to quit my job as an act of faith right now in the hospital. And I'm going to dedicate my life to kids and health and fitness. And that was the beginning.
Wow.
And so I remembered before he went under the knife, I touched his chest and I'm like, okay, you're going to have a battle scar when you wake up. And I said, well, look, man, when you come out the hospital, you can have anything you want.
Yes.
What do you want? Because as a parent,
yeah,
you don't care about.
No, I mean, yeah, anything you want at that point.
I want to inspire him to come out this operation. So he said, Dad, I said, can you give me a Sega Genesis set? I'm like, a Sega, I got you a Sega Genesis. At that time, they were $500.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you want a Sega? We're going to get a Sega. I said, I got you. So he goes under the knife, and about 4 or 5 days, he's in a coma, an induced coma.
Okay.
And my wife and I, we went into the ICU unit every day. We prayed over him. And the doctor said, look, it's been about a week, so we're going to take all the lung bypass machine off of him. We're going to take the heart bypass machine. And if we take everything off and he doesn't respond, well, we've done all we can do. And man, when they took all the machines out of him, right, my wife and I were just praying and holding hands. And about an hour later, he opened his eyes. And he couldn't talk because he still had tubes rolling in the heart.
Right.
But he opened his eyes for the first time in about a week, and we were like, wow, he opened his eyes. And he was trying to talk to us, right? And so I put my ear to his mouth and said, son, what are you trying to say? You hungry? I said, you thirsty?
No.
And I said, what do you want to say? What are you trying to say? He go, Sega.
Yes.
I said, Sega,
Yes,
you're going to get you this Sega game.
Sega.
I'll have this game to you by 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, my gosh.
I think I borrowed the money to get that Sega game, but that was the beginning of him recovering. And
What
that
an
the day,
amazing story.
Yeah.
And I just can't even imagine the moments of doubt and of fear and of faith all showing up simultaneously in that week.
Yes.
Right? What a week.
Yes, it was. And it was just a testament on, you have a setback, but get ready for the comeback.
Yeah.
And boy, it was a comeback because I didn't know because of this situation that I would affect so many people and change. And here's one thing that folks would ask me after I started the journey of fitness and then the basketball. They were like, okay, when your boys graduate, are you going to continue to do this? Yeah, I made a vow.
Yeah.
And so I'm still doing it 30 years later. We're celebrating our 30th year at the OmniStar in Frisco on May 1st. And I would like everyone to come out and celebrate with
That's going to be such a great event.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Top Achievers. So you said I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to helping kids, and I'm gonna do that in the field of sports.
Yes.
And Top Achievers is more than just basketball.
Yeah.
It is primarily initially a basketball organization. That's why kids become a part of that. But tell us just a little bit about the mission of Top Achievers and really the heart for your organization.
Okay, the mission behind it, we know that I wanted to inspire kids. So Top Achievers inspire and transform kids to empower them to live a lifestyle of achievement. And so when I started thinking about the very first day of how to put this all together, I moved to Plano because I was staying at the Bedford area. And one of my good friends, Rod Jones, that was playing for Cincinnati Bengals, I got into a few investments, and one was a health club. So I came to Plano. I said, look, let me manage your health club, and I'll do it for free. It allowed me to build a kids program inside of this facility. It was located off of Spring Creek and Parker.
Okay. Yeah.
I take it back. Spring Creek and Independence.
You're right. Okay. Yeah.
Spring Creek and Independence. It was called West Plano Athletic Club. And so during this time, I'm working with Rod, building his health club, and I'm like, well, how am I going to build this health club for kids? And so I literally went door to door to West Plano as they were building in the 80s. And I don't know where I got this information from, but I remember in college learning how to find out people's average household income, where they are, where they work, how many kids. So I went to the Schimmelfinnig Library, and I think I pulled up this information to find out who was moving to West Plano. Well, I saw families with 2 or 3 kids. I saw the average household income was over $200,000. I'm like, okay, this is a great candidate for this health club for kids.
Yeah.
And so I went to the phone book. I called those individuals and said, I'm building this health club for kids. And it's going to get your daughter and son faster, quicker. And I knew that Plano was so competitive.
Yeah.
And the person says, well, how are you going to do that? I said, we're going to build a health club. Nothing was set in stone. And I said, well, you know what? If you give me, if you believe in what I'm doing, I want to make you my first chartered member. And they said, what did that mean? I said, okay, you pay me $600, and in 3-4 months, I'll have this place built out, and I'll have a facility for your kid to come in, and we'll have after-school program, we'll have computer learning, we'll have sports enhancement. So when you come home after dropping your kids off, or we'll pick them up, we had dance services at the time.
Yeah.
Kids are from school. And I had all this in my mind.
Yeah.
It didn't come to fruition yet. But I had that. You're talking about the inspiring word of God, putting this into your head. Because in the 90s, there was nothing like that.
Right.
In sports enhancement. So I said, okay, we'll pick the kids up. We'll bring them to the facility. And when you pick them up at home, when you pick them up from our facility from 5:30 to 6, you will have your homework done. The kid will have the snack. You will have more family time. And we wanted to create a balance. And the lady says, okay, that sounds good, but when are you going to build this? I said, it'll be 4 to 6 months to get me a $600 check.
That was your first seed money.
That was the first seed money. And I went around through the whole neighborhood with the same sales pitch and raised $60,000 in 1 month.
That's incredible.
And that was the beginning of Top Achievers Facility.
Because people heard the vision.
They heard the vision.
You solved a problem for people, right? There was a need in the community for that.
Yes.
So Top Achievers, I love the name Top Achievers. What does that mean to you? What does achievement mean to you? Because you in the organization, so much more than just basketball.
Yes.
It's literacy, it's personal development, it's so many things. But what does it mean for a kid to be an achiever?
Yes. So when I looked at my son in the operating room, right, and I said, okay, what is coming to my mind to help me visualize what I want him to become? And the first person I thought about was Martin Luther King's speech, I've been to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
I've been to the mountaintop, so I'm like, he saw a vision. And so I drew a mountain on a piece of paper, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I've gone to the mountaintop. And I remember probably my sports hero at the time was Muhammad Ali. When he went through all those adversities to get to where he's at, where he was during the 80s, became a world champion after being denied, after being ostracized, after people saying, no, we don't want this guy as our champion. He fought through that. And when he became world champion, he raised his hands up in the air, said, I'm the greatest of all time. So when you look at our logo, Top Achievers, you'll see this running man like this on top of a mountain. So I'm like, I want him to achieve all his goals, but I want him to be on top of the achievement. So top achievers derive from Muhammad Ali and guys like Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. These guys that experienced life, and they had a cause and a mission to be more powerful. So when I say top achievers, whatever adversities you're coming from, and I look at the lifestyle that I live, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's conditional. It's not terminal. So there was things around my life, and when I saw, the drugs plague the communities, I saw the car industry go down. I saw people being laid off. I had friends who were driving Mercedes-Benz and expensive cars, and they weren't going to school.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, how do I get some of that? But I just knew my mom, a praying mom, she tried to do her best to say, look, we're not going to do that route. We're not going to go that route. Yeah. So when I think about top achievers, we think that we're safe in these environments, even in Plano. But when I moved here in the 90s, we were probably the youth. I think we had more teen suicides than any other state in the country.
We were known and the nation as, I think, the suicide capital.
That's correct.
Yeah. And the drugs were just horrific.
Yes.
In wealthy Plano, Texas.
That's right. So when I was in the middle of all that, right, I'm like, okay, this is not just a social economics. This is going to touch every kid. So how do I change that kid? How do I work that kid and invite them into my world? Yeah. And so through sports, we were able to invite them to the world. Say, okay, now we got your attention, because when I started Top Achievers, it was no basketball. It was we were working out at Jack Carter Park.
Okay.
100 kids per hour for 4 hours. And families, I had a ladies program. So the mothers were coming in, they had the harnesses and they were jumping. So we were able to impact the community, because even when we, after we worked out, I had a 10-minute segment where it was called a huddle time, and I would inspire them with words. Most of the time it was scriptures. And I said, okay, the words for the day, the words for the week, and people were like, wow, this is pretty cool. So we fed them spiritually, we fed them from the athletic standpoint, and they walked away saying, this is a holistic program that's covering all the bases to help me feel good.
So good. Well, and I think sports, when you're challenged physically, it does break you down a bit to be open mentally and spiritually. Your defenses kind of come down, and it just creates an open door for that.
Yes.
And I love the idea too of achievement it's really not achievement if we haven't overcome something.
That's correct.
Right? Otherwise, it just is. And so achievement means that you have overcome something, you've faced some kind of obstacle, and you've gotten through the other side. And, I have 2 14-year-old girls that live a pretty cush life, Coach. I mean, they're in a 2-parent home. They have what they need. They get to do a lot. They have a lot of opportunities. They have a lot of love in their life. And I know how important it is to put them in hard situations on purpose.
Yes.
Not dangerous situations, right? I'm not, but things like sports and pushing them out of their comfort zone, and because life's going to happen at some point.
That's correct.
They're going to have a moment where they're face to face with God, where they're making decisions. Life is not going to always be rainbows and unicorns. And so putting our kids in hard situations on purpose that develop character, that show them that they can overcome, that show them that they can achieve, I think it's important as adults to continue to do that.
Yes. And what's really what's more important is creating your own world, right? And then so when I say create your own world of achievement, I grew up in an area where most of the folks look like me. Then you go to SMU, you're like, okay, where are those folks?
Yeah, right.
Right. And so when I started thinking about top achievers, I started reminiscing about how I want my world to be. I want different cultures.
Yeah.
I want multiple cultures. So when I created these basketball teams and I started the basketball piece, when my son's dad, we want you to coach us in basketball. I'm like, oh, that's going to be funny. Because I never coached before. And so I made sure that in order to achieve my goals, to give them a balance, because to me, to have a balance and have friends from all different cultures was so important.
Yeah.
It's the real world. I had made sure that I was intentional about picking players from different cultures to make up my little third, fourth grade team. And we trained, we worked hard, and we achieved some monuments that nobody, during that time, Plano kids weren't known for basketball.
Yeah.
And we were going to Disney World beating teams.
That's
and
fun.
every year we were in the top 10 in the nation. So we created something where, well, if you're a top achiever, you're going to come away doing something positive. In the community, we built a culture where people like, that's pretty cool. They're not only just basketball. We had SAT programs for our kids early on. We had math programs. We had sports enhancement. We had mentorship. We had pro athletes coming in, talking to kids. So it takes a community to raise our families, right?
It does.
And I think once you get linked and aligned with people with the same common goal to win, to achieve greatness, you can do that, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so share with me just maybe a story. It could be a recent story or it could be any time just throughout your top achievers history of just a kid that achieved, that maybe that you feel like your organization, you personally, or your organization really made a difference for.
There's a lot of kids, man. Boy, let's see here. I want to start with Rashad Smith. Rashad Smith is now a licensed therapist, sports therapist in Chicago. His mom came to me right after 9/11 and said, "You need to get out of New York." She took her two boys and she said she's going to throw a dart at the map, and wherever that dart lands, she's coming.
Oh my goodness.
And they landed in Plano.
She had good aim.
She had a great aim. And I met him at church at Grace. Like, I go to Grace Church in Plano, and I was teaching Sunday school at the time.
Uh-huh.
And
I didn't realize you went to Grace.
Yeah, I went to Grace. And so I talked to this little tall, leggy kid. I'm like, "Hey, man, you play basketball?" We looked for teams. He was in third, fourth grade. I was just developing these great teams. He goes, "Yeah, I play." And I talked to his mom, and she shared with me her story, raising two boys on her own. And she said she had been praying for mentors to be in her son's life. And we literally took her sons, educated them, we worked with them, and Rashad wound up getting a scholarship to Tulsa University and graduated in 4 years, and now he's a licensed therapist. That was just, and Mom tells me today that was the most amazing thing in her life, is to take her son and to help him, because she didn't have a clue on who was going to help raise her kids,
Wow.
mentor her kids. So that was a real neat story. And then I had a young lady that she went to one of the middle schools, and she said, "Mr. Mann, I want to be a part of your program, and I want you to know I don't have no money." And my mom was 7 of us. My mom don't have any money either, but I got to be in your program. And she was an okay player, right?
Okay.
I'm like, okay, this girl, she's got some grit to her.
Yeah.
And I allow her to come in.
If you can ask for money, you can do anything in life.
Yeah.
I mean, you go, girl.
She came in and she worked really hard, and she was an okay player, but I kept her in the because she wanted to be a part of this community. And I follow all my kids in college. I follow them to their professional career. Now I'm a marriage counselor, because the kids that...
Now come back. Have you performed any ceremonies yet?
I've been asked. I've been asked.
That.
Well, I let my son Malcolm, who's a minister.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. He's professional.
See him.
Okay.
Yes. But I have baptized a couple of...
Okay. That's awesome.
Who asked me to baptize them.
That's awesome.
But, she says, I want to be a part of this. And again, she wasn't the best athlete. Let her play with us from middle school all the way up into high school. And she had some challenges. And I remember her being in the AVID program. And I was also on the board of the Hendrick Foundation. And we provide scholarships for kids that are from single parents or kids that need some support. And she was like, "Coach, man, I'm a senior now. And because of you, I stayed in school. And you know what?" She says, "Can you help me get scholarships?" and it won't be a basketball scholarship.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, you know what? I'm on this board. We're going to help you, get a scholarship. And so she wrote the recommendation. Well, I wrote the recommendation letter. She went through the interviewing process, did a great job. But it was about a month before school ended. The teacher says, Mr. Mann, she's making some bad decisions. You may want to withdraw her name.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I can't just, I'm like, I hear you, but she's right here at the finish line.
Right.
I can't. And so I love the teacher who I was working with, the collaboration, but I'm like, I can't listen to you on that one. The girl now graduated from North Texas, Denton, the UNT.
Yes.
And she's a graduate. And so we got another one through the door. And that was just a great testimony because it took me every bit to follow the teacher's instinct. But I'm like, nah, I got to get her through the door.
Oh.
And so that was a great, and she wasn't a star, but you know what? We helped this young lady fulfill her dream. And now she's a top achiever.
I remember you saying that when we first talked to you about getting our girls involved in your program, and you said, most of these kids aren't going to go on to play professional sports. I mean, just statistically, even if you have the best basketball program in the world, statistically, these kids are not going to make a living playing basketball in their future. And so the most important skills are not the basketball skills.
That's correct.
It's the life skills, it's the academics, it's all of the other things that are going to be the majority of their life that they spend.
Yes. And it's, we call it transferable skills, right? And my motto, everybody that's come to top achievers over the last 30 years, they know Coach Mann's motto. And it's do your best and let God do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my young players just 2 days ago, I said, guys, everybody knows my motto. Do your best and let God do the rest. She goes, I never heard that before. I said, because you only been here for a week, right?
That's fair.
But again, that's part of the motto.
I love that. So what do you think the greatest lesson that sports teaches?
I think how to fail and bounce back up.
Mm.
There's times, we win games and we're happy, but when you lose, how do you bounce up? How do you lift yourself up? How do you encourage yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And who is going to help you put yourself back together after a loss? Because you feel that it's about you, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the team. So I think learning how to fail,
mm-hmm.
coming back, because, you look at, I want to take a step further. Sports taught me not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
I've been married for 40 years. And I'm sure my wife and I looked at each other like, okay, we gonna do this or what?
And I have been married for 27.
Wow, that's great.
So, I mean, quite a bit behind you guys, but a long while.
Yes, and there's times that...
But we've been happily married for 19 years out of 27. They've just not all been, in the same, all in a row.
Yes. But it's the commitment, right?
It is the commitment.
Just like a team. When you commit to a team, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you got to stick to it. And I think sports, and it teaches you camaraderie and how to create a good bond.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife, she was an athlete. Matter of fact, she's a better athlete than I. She was a track star in Harlingen, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't realize this till about a few years ago. She go, baby, we're having our 20th year, 30th year, something. And she says, I've got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking there's a little ceremony, right?
Yeah.
In the high school gym at Porter High School in Brownsville. I went down to Mission, Texas, man, and it was this big deal with, Tom Landry was a part of this.
Oh, my goodness.
Part of this Hall of Fame culture, right? And I'm like, girl, you were really that type of girl, right?
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
For her.
So I, by her.
Isn't it amazing that you can be married to somebody for 40 years and they never cease to amaze you? I think that's so cool.
Yes. She's awesome, man. She is, she's my rock. And I told her I wouldn't know.
What'd she run in track?
She did the relays.
Okay.
200, 100, but her specialty was the long jump. She had the long jump, and she had the state record for many years, or maybe the city record, or I don't know, but it was a record.
Jillian ran track this year. I don't know if I told you this. She got first place in district in the 800.
Wow.
I know. And then her 4x4 relay team set a school record. They were, I think, 1 second from district record. Wow. Which is a little depressing. We won't talk about that. So
yes, I think sports, it teaches you so many transferable skills. And again, being married for 40 years is a testament on my commitment to my faith, commitment to my wife, and then learning how to lose and then bounce back up.
Yeah. If only life were all about the wins, but I think you realize it's a two-sided coin. Success, the other side of success is failure. You don't get to the success without the failure.
That's right.
It's just, it's the same coin. It's just the two sides, and we often give up so easily.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So
I'm so thankful for you as the Top Achievers. What a fun conversation. Thank you for sharing the whole story. I want to tell everybody though about the gala, because we're going to drop this episode before that.
All right.
So if anyone listening wants to get tickets and go be a part of that, tell us about the party. What?
It's going, guys, you're talking about the vow. You're talking about being part of something special. You come to the event, you're going to hear the stories, you're going to see the transferable skills that we have helped pour into this community for over 30 years. And the mayor called me up the other day. He says, Lawrence, he says, you've been doing this a long time, and I want you to know something. We are going to give you the key to the city that night. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
And that just touched my heart.
That's amazing.
So you'll meet my kids, my grandkids. You'll see city officials, state officials. You'll see pro athletes, corporate people, man, everyone that has been a part of this story. They've made a vow to come and be a part of this celebration. And we want you to spread the wealth, spread the word, spread the goodness about what we're doing here in Plano to help empower and impact our community in this positive way.
I love it. So we'll drop the RSVP link for tickets.
Yes.
Into all of the show notes so that everybody can.
That would be great.
Jump in. Everybody wants to go to a party.
Oh yeah, a black tie. You come in with your bling bling on. Don't come half stepping. You got to come in. You got to be ready.
Okay, I love it. All right. I can get on board with that. Well, thank you for being with me today.
My pleasure.
What a privilege. Everybody, be sure if you are in Plano, Texas, and your kids are looking for basketball solutions and really whole life development, Top Achievers is definitely where to be. I cannot recommend them more highly.
Yes.
But it's a great organization if you have a heart for kids to give to and to get behind. So
yes. And I just wanted to say those 5 pillars we start off with basketball, but the 5 pillars, basketball. Now we have STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts and math, eSports and digital design, mentorship. And right now for our math, we partner with UT Dallas. Their professors come over every Saturday from 10 to 12, working with our kids. We provide free math tutorials. We have a waiting list of 500 names right now. We're looking to expand.
Wow. There is a lot of need for math tutorials because I'm going to tell you why, because no one's parents can help them.
That's right.
It is absolutely impossible these days to help your kids with math. Once they get above 3rd grade, I'm completely clueless.
Yes. So we give it to her free.
That's amazing. I love it.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Upside Podcast. And as always, when you invest in your growth every single day, it's going to yield you great returns. Keep living on the upside.